Hey, what's up, guys? Joker here for episode 50 something of TGW, and we're joined by this week by Science Studio. He's hanging out, Greg from Science Studio. He's going to be hanging out with us. We're going to be talking about the 1060, Vulkan, DX12, Timespy controversies, and all things tech and gaming, as we do on TGW. Brian, we can't hear you. And this is not me this time. That's you. That's him.
That's me. I did. I muted my mic.
Brian, you're trying to make me look bad, aren't you? Because we know your viewers hate me, and every time something happens, they blame it on me.
Well, that's it, man. You're the first way to go. So you're the first way to go for blaming. Joker's fault. But yeah, we got Greg on, new guest for the show.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, he's basically he had a studio light in the background. That was his case, and he had to turn the lights down.
That is his studio light. His case is the studio light.
I have the most expensive studio light you can buy. It's elegant. We're talking a single lamp post with actually two protruding incandescent light bulbs, and then a ton of white balance. Essentially, is how I make that work.
Essentially, yeah. Do you want to tell the audience your pitch, like everything, about your channel?
What do you do?
I do a lot of computer stuff recently. The channel originally started off kind of like a just run-of-the-mill science channel, different topics, different days, run through stuff that I just thought was cool, that I didn't necessarily know about, that I wanted to learn about and then share with people on YouTube. So that's why at the end of every video I would say thanks for learning with us, because most of the time, especially in the recent videos I've been doing, I don't know a lot about the stuff that I talk about in the videos beforehand. So I have to go and do a ton of research, a bunch of homework, so that I know at least enough to be able to kind of simplify some things and just be able to convey in a way that makes sense some of the topics that I discuss. So it's just a big learning channel, and it's been kind of centered on computers lately, but I do want to make the transition steadily back to just everything science, because it's fun to learn. It can be fun to learn if you have the right
I mean,
people.
do what you love doing. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's how you get into it, right? It's a passion, not a money making machine. Like.
Yep.
I'll tell you, I actually had a question, because something I was wondering about, because you have some massive speakers behind you by Marshall. So what do you play?
Yes, yeah.
Guitar, bass.
Guitar, man. I've been rocking out guitar for 15. Well, for the first 2 or 3 years, I wasn't rocking out. I was still plucking strings. But yeah, here. I'll see if I can turn the camera a little bit. But
Can you
that
do a Mega Man riff?
that is.
Oh, that's a serious stack.
Yeah, and it goes down to the bottom too. I mean, that's one down there. It's a full.
So do I.
So. Man, this was supposed to be an informative little hello Marshall. Now I have no chance of getting a Marshall sponsorship now, because
This is not meant to be informative. I don't know what show you think you're on.
I have no idea what. It's my first time on any live show.
Yeah, I'll just change over to my headphones now too. See, I was on speak. Yeah, I was on speaker.
How he does that? I can't get.
Do what? Be able to hear.
Yeah, like he gets the speakers and the headphones, but he doesn't get the speakers to be picked up by the microphone.
I can't believe that it doesn't pick it up like at all.
Yeah, because that would really happen, especially with my setup.
I don't know. It's called Skype, It's
mine would. Skype. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I feel like mine would pick it. I gotta test it. I don't think I've ever tested it, but I feel like it would pick it up or something. I don't know. If it's just Skype, that's pretty damn impressive. Bill Gates did a good job with that.
Mine would definitely pick it up. I don't even want to try it. It's not even worth it.
All right, so usually, Greg, you have any tech pickups this week? Doing it at the start of the show, we usually talk about tech pickups. If we got anything new, we'll let you go first this week, since you're a guest.
Tech pickups? I have no idea what that is.
Like any new gadgets.
Yeah,
any new any new hardware that you either bought or maybe were sent for review.
I see what you did there. Yeah, because I just recently bought this thing, and we were talking about the advantages and disadvantages of this type of camera, but. I got a Lumix FZ1000. I've been using a DSLR, actually right here.
He got the old random Frank P camera.
Yeah, really. Oh, okay. This is the D5100. This is what I always use. So if you've ever seen a video on my channel that's relatively recent, I've been using the D5100, and it's decent. I mean, it's not the greatest, obviously. I don't recommend it for anybody who's looking to do stellar video work, but it got the job done. 1080p, 30p. Again, not the greatest, but it was okay. So I decided to upgrade, not only for the 4K, which this camera supports, but also the 1080p at 60, because that just looks beautiful. 60p is just it's just magic within
They
YouTube.
say, yeah, they say everyone's on that 60p train. For me, I'm like, it looks off. It just looks weird to me. I
It's
can't
soap
watch
opera-y
60p
kind of.
human.
Well,
Like
see-
I can
Yeah.
watch 60p gameplay, but I can't watch 60p human. I don't know.
Well, I don't like watching just talking head stuff of just 60p. The reason I do some 1080 60 stuff is when I'm doing news stories and I'm doing desktop capture at 60 FPS.
Yeah, that's
because I want to match the desktop capture or the gameplay that I'm showing. So everything is all 60 FPS and it just looks like
Sorry, what was that? The desktop catcher.
whatever. I can't. Brian, it's not like we're running at 500 smaths. Like,
Chop.
it's not as bad as my drunk stream. Did you catch any of the drunk stream, Brian?
No, I didn't, man.
I started slurring words so bad that I was calling frames smaths, and I don't even know what that is. And now like people caught on to that, and now they're like asking the video comments and video since, and like, oh, how many smaths was it getting, Joker? I was like, oh, fuck.
Some are never gonna let that go either. They're gonna keep that.
Once you say something like that on the internet, that's it. It's stuck forever.
For the duration of your channel.
Years,
That's right.
5 years from now, how many SPS is it getting? Those smaths per second.
Yes.
Space per second. Yeah.
When you start replacing words, that's when you know just to call it quits.
Beautiful 60 smaths per second.
60.
I didn't get any super interesting tech pickups. I picked up a Pebble watch and then returned it in the same day because I didn't like it.
Good call.
And I got this sent to me, this Aukey power bank. I think it's Aukey or Aukey.
Aukey, yeah, I did a review from one of their I think I called it Aukey. I didn't get corrected, so I think that's right.
Yeah, this is my review for it. So yeah, they sent it to me, and it's got two USB ports in the front for charging. One of them is a fast charge. It's got a micro USB for charging it, and also lightning for charging it. And if you hold the button on top, it makes a flashlight.
Ooh.
It's not terribly bright, but it has a flashlight on it.
It's got a flashlight.
It's got a flashlight. Unfortunately, not a flashlight, but I was happy to take it because it didn't cost anything for me, and also because my Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge battery life is atrocious.
I foregone. I went away from the S6.
Yeah.
Went for the Note 4 for that very reason.
I'm no mathematician. You're the science guy, but by my math, this thing has 20,000 milliamps, and this is 2,500, so I should be able to charge it 8 times theoretically.
You will have a bit of degradation over time if you keep this stored. If you keep it charged, but you'll get a lot of charges out of it for sure.
You know what I was disappointed by? If I take the USB and I plug it into the micro USB, I cannot charge the device with itself. It doesn't work. I tried.
Okay.
Wait. You plug the phone into the USB that charges the phone?
I plugged the power bank back into itself to see if I could charge itself.
See if you can blow it up.
Yeah. Oh.
I was curious if it would just go on a loop and keep charging forever, and it did not, unfortunately.
Well, it wouldn't charge forever. There'd be an efficiency, so it would do eventually.
Yeah, I guess so. I was just curious, okay? Curiosity killed the cat, but it didn't kill the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, assuming you have perfect wiring and there's no energy loss in the form of heat, then you would literally just create something that your phone's just gonna run normal. It's not gonna act any different, more or less, if you did that.
Yeah.
Because it's charging. Yeah. Okay. That's a dumb.
Words.
You got me thinking, man. You got me thinking. It's like paradoxical.
Brian, you got any tech pickups?
Nah, nothing this week. It's a drought. An absolute drought, man. Oh, I did go on eBay though for that sale. I did get one of those 980 Ti's. They were pretty damn good.
What's the thing you got sent to my house?
That's a car part, man.
Oh, a car part.
Yeah.
How big? What is it like?
This is a little box. It's a long story. I'll explain to you later.
We're gonna have like an engine.
Well, I don't know. The guy's still gonna send it.
Just a little car part.
Well, the guy's still gonna send it back. Like I sold something on eBay, and it's like the guy was in America, and he did some voodoo magic with eBay, and he got the frickin' item for free. I'm like, what the hell? So I called up eBay yesterday, going, I've been selling stuff on eBay for a long time, here and there, and I've never had this happen before. Usually if someone returns something, they put in a PayPal claim and then they put a tracking number on and they return the item. This guy just put in a complaint and got his money back. I'm like, what the hell? What is going on here? And they're like, you need to do a shipping label. I'm like, what's a shipping label? Because I don't live in the States, man. I've never even heard of this thing called a shipping label. And like, don't you have to be a company registered with a thing to make shipping labels?
No, well, it's like if you messaged me the other day, but I couldn't like usually you just do it on the website, or you can do it in like any type of print program like Word
Yeah, but even then, I provided him with my address on the shipping label, and he still didn't have to do anything. It was like, so it was so dodgy. I was just like, this is terrible, eBay. It's not the guy's fault. Of course, the guy's going to take advantage of any loophole he can.
Oh, well, eBay just has the drop down. You can just click the thing, print label, and it just spits it out. And all you got to do is hit print.
Yeah, it's different, man. It's different. Like, I actually had to have a pre-approved label or whatever it is. And then
so to get this straight, you had to basically eBay force you to have to pay him back or to return the item. Is that what happened?
Yeah, well, he asked for a return, and I'm like, okay, send it back. Send it back. When I get it back, I'll give you a refund. Right. But it never got sent back, and he got his refund. I'm just like, this is just not fair. Like,
well, Amazon does something similar to that. Like, if you return something to Amazon, like the moment it gets scanned by UPS to be delivered or FedEx, whoever, they'll reimburse you your whatever you paid for the product like that same day, even though it says that they have to wait to receive the item and they're sorting houses.
Well, at least they get the scan in there. He didn't even have to do that.
There's some kind of security involved. You could just load it with a pile of bricks and send it off. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't know, man. It was just like, I was baffled. So I was just like, what is going on here? So I really was confused. I had to go. Like, I was just blew up at the guy on the phone because I was just like, I've never heard of this before. It's absolute, BS. So yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened to me in the last week. So, besides that, yeah, tech pickups. Yeah, let's get back to tech.
I don't have any other tech pickups. I finished doing that. Oh well, I got the 1060. That's right. I got the 1060 today. Yeah, so
you paid $350 for it. Is that right?
357.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, for the $250 card.
Where did you buy that? You bought it online, didn't you?
The Nvidia website.
That got here quick. You ordered it like 2 days ago, didn't you?
I ordered it yesterday.
You ordered 1 day shipping on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. I got it this morning. I paid for 1 day shipping and to arrive before 10 a.m.
How much did you pay for it? For the shipping?
It was $33 out of that $357.
It's not bad.
I
guess when you need it, you need it. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's like, because if you don't, you don't. It's like if you don't, it's like 5 to 8 day shipping. So I was just I can't. I'm not sitting on that.
And it's going to be
biggest question. So the biggest question is, when are you shipping it back?
I was thinking about that earlier today. Actually, I was like, realistically, should I keep this thing after 30 days? And I'm not. I mean, I want to have it for future testing. So there is the alternative option of selling it on or returning it and then going out and buying an actual $250 one to have to test in the future, so I can get back some of the money.
I haven't been following how available is that card right now, because we were kind of predicting how that would be if they'd have a surplus or if they'd be.
Well, that's what I just did a video on yesterday. It's been extremely limited.
Really?
When the cards have shown up online on the stores, it's usually just been like maybe 2 or 3 of them, especially on like Newegg. They've only been rolling out like maybe a few at a time, and then they sell out and then they're gone.
That was a good video, actually. Yeah, I watched that. It's really good.
I need to watch that. I'm guilty.
No, it's good. Yeah, Joe could put up all the stock. Like, you could see that they didn't have much stock at all for this card. So
didn't have any stock. They were like saying it said like on the websites it said sold out, but you can clearly see on Now in Stock that it was never actually in stock.
Yeah.
Sold out is another term for saying we never had it.
Yeah. Oh no. See, what it does is it's sold out. You got to be quicker next time, guys. Yeah, my ass.
It's called artificial demand. So you act like people are demanding it. I mean, even if they are, you're kind of playing to the psychology of the buyer by saying, "Hey, there's very limited stock. If you want it, jump on it quick."
Well, bro,
so increase the sale capacity.
But in the process, you're also bullshitting.
Well, bro, it's like one of my viewers commented earlier. I don't remember his name, but he commented and said, "Nvidia, the way it's meant to be paper launched." Yeah. There you go. Someone make some fan art of that on a thumbnail or something, and I'll put it in like a thumbnail or something, because that's where those things go.
All right. Well, while we're on the topic of this Nvidia thing,
the 1060.
Jump onto the future, Mark. Is this the first topic?
Well, the first thing I have up here is just basically that the 1060 is out, so we can kind of talk about the performance that we've seen, because all the reviews have come in. Adored TV actually did a really good video earlier today, kind of analyzing all of the reviews and looking at the graphs and what games were tested in that. And it seemed like a lot of the sites out there and the channels did kind of follow along with that reviewer's guide that we had talked about, was last week or the week before that it got leaked.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a lot of people in the comments were upset that there wasn't enough DX12 testing, and like on Doom specifically, like a lot of people were testing on OpenGL and not Vulkan,
Well, that's it.
which
That's exactly right. Very valid point, because this is what you're going to see when a lot of privileged people get graphics cards. I'm not going to say that they're sellouts or whatnot. I'm just going to say that they've got a review, like you showed before, the reviewer's guideline tells them what games to benchmark, tells them how to benchmark it. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, where's our organic benchmarks? Where's our organic benchmarks?
yeah. Yeah, I started off today. I got my 1060 this morning. Like I said, I've already been running through tests on DX12 and Vulkan because I didn't feel like there was enough testing done on that. I kind of agree with people there wasn't enough DX12 and Vulkan testing. So the first video I'm doing is just literally DX12 and Vulkan. That's it.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, man. You can't just sit there and abuse, like, the DX, because DX12 is coming into effect now. We're starting to see games like, like Doom now has Vulkan support. Like, you've got the low-level APIs coming in. They're very popular. And so people have a right to know how these graphics cards are going to perform, especially if they're going to own them for 3 years, which I'd say is a very moderate or a very generous time frame for someone to own a graphics card. So what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years? There's going to be a lot more DX12 support. There's going to be a lot more Vulkan support. And who's going to be coming out on top? From what we've seen so far,
probably
looks
AMD.
like, yeah, and that's what I mean. Looks like AMD is going to be coming out on top. That's from what we're seeing.
Yeah, and also with GCN, if we look at the past and how that gets developed for, that tends to kind of get better over time with driver support as it goes on.
Yeah.
But right now, just seeing it, side by side, it seems like the 1060 is the stronger card right now in general for DirectX 11 games. If you're wanting to play, DirectX 11 games mostly, which is the pretty much like almost all the games out there right now. There's such a small selection of DX12 titles that would even take advantage of it. And the only one that's really out there that is even like, oh my God, like if you put it on, it's like amazing, is Vulkan for Doom. It's really the only one where I've seen that I put on that option for Vulkan. It's just like, holy shit, that's a game changer. I haven't really seen that on DirectX 12 games.
I haven't either. I can attest to that too. When I benchmarked the RX 480, keeping everything else equal and just changing the DirectX 11 to DirectX 12, in some cases I was seeing, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, some slight FPS dips in DirectX 12, and people are wondering why, because I mean that was the thing that AMD was supposed to be so great at, was DirectX 12. That's what everyone was looking forward to, and in a lot of games that I tested personally, it wasn't as black and white as I thought it should have been, or at least what it was hyped up to be. But something else that I think you showed in your benchmarking video, which I did see, is, or which the bars I've seen already, the 1060 does very well in DirectX 11, like you just said, but in DirectX 12, I don't think that it helps the 480 as much as it does hurt the 1060 at this point anyway. And that's something that'll be interesting to see how that plays out later on with more games and more titles being released on DirectX 12.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. And just in my initial testing, I think the conclusion I'm going to end up coming to is that the 1060, is a stronger core performer. It's better in DirectX 11 games, but it's really interesting to see how much the gap is closed by the 480 just by switching over to a different API.
Exactly.
And that kind of shows where things are heading in the future. And if Nvidia doesn't, start doing that type of optimization on their future launch of cards against things like AMD's Vega coming out next year, then they're going to have some trouble on their hands, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also, the majority of titles, like people are getting into Overwatch, for example. Yeah,
Yeah,
is that going to have a different API? Is that going to have Vulkan support? We don't know, right? So, I mean, you'd probably be better off on an Nvidia card in some of those, if you play a lot of those, mainstream multiplayer titles. So I guess it depends on what you need out of a graphics card. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was also interesting to see that also, like yesterday, when all the cards that were available is with the 1060 that they did different versus the 1080 and 1070s, that they released the AIB cards at the same exact time along with the Founders Edition, and the Founders Edition is only being sold by Nvidia, so you can't get that from Zotac or Gigabyte with like previous reference designs. That's only coming directly from Nvidia, and right now we have up some of it's our second topic. It's just some of the AIB cards. Looking at some of the designs on those, you're seeing ones like here from MSI. MSI's got a couple designs. I think ASUS has like 4 or 5 different designs Yeah, it's like quite a few, but they are looking pretty good.
MSI does too. They have 3, I think.
I'll say one of the $250 cards that I did see was directly on the PNY website. Is that all black one that we saw last week? And
Yeah,
that
that
card
was
is sexy
nice.
as hell.
That
If
was good.
I'll tell you, if I do end up returning this reference
Get that one.
1060, I'm getting the PNY for 250 because that thing
I
is just
like
sexy.
the MSI armor as well. That looks
I
good
do
to me
too. I do
It's
too.
nice.
That
It's
it's the white. It's subtle, white and black, and I'm a big white
it's
guy, obviously.
yeah,
so.
it's nice. You are a big white guy.
in the hood.
That's gonna be gift, and then I'm gonna. There it goes.
Gangster. All right.
Yep.
So yeah, they all look pretty solid though. Like the majority of the cards coming out look pretty solid. Like I can't nitpick one that looks absolutely horrible.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought the cheaper Gigabyte one did not look great.
But it still would pass the mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all right. I mean,
Yeah. If you,
I mean,
if you
I'll
saw it
be
in someone's
honest-
case, you wouldn't be like, oh.
no. I really like the reference one. I think the reference 1060 is sexy, but I like the look of reference Nvidia cards, which I feel horrible about because I absolutely despise Nvidia's business practices and the bending over of consumers on the founders cards. But I love the way they look. I'm not gonna lie.
I will say about the armor though, the armor one, it looks great from the front, but I don't believe that one comes with a backplate, and if it does, stop me because I'll sound like a complete idiot this next couple seconds. But I think that these kinds of cards, especially nowadays, need backplates. I'm a backplate guy. I don't want to see a PCB just exposed with everything else shielded.
I agree.
You know,
I agree, man.
it's an aesthetics thing. I mean, most of the time it's not going to have. It will have some minor thermal
Not on a
properties.
1060 though. Like
No,
not on a
yeah, that's
cheap
not
card.
gonna
Yeah.
exactly. That's
So I mean, on a cheap card, I'd probably do without because people want to save that cash. I think, like,
That's
say
true.
for instance, on a 1070 or higher, you'd want a backplate just because, yeah, the cost to
I want it.
the
I
actual
want it on
card
my
wouldn't be too
1060.
expensive. But on like a 1060 or a lower on an RX 480, I wouldn't even bother because they're going in budget.
Yeah, but they
builds.
put
It
so much
still
work
looks
into the
good,
front
though.
of these cards. Like you don't see that part. That part faces down unless you have one of those juxtap like this. The
You
angle.
guys love your backplates, I know. You guys.
I
can
do.
go-
I do.
yeah.
I would be willing to pay $10 more, whatever it costs them in parts, labor, whatever. I'd be willing to pay a small bit extra
You can.
for a backplate, or at least give the
You can go-
option to.
You can
Greg,
go buy
that
one.
$10
Usually
Greg?
EVGA makes them for
$10,
Nvidia anyway.
2%
Yeah.
interest compounded, Greg. It could get
This
you
guy.
that graphics. 20
This
years
guy.
later, could get you that graphics card. Okay,
This
dude?
guy pulling some finance on me, man.
That's it, yeah. So you
I
gotta
just
think about
finished up
that,
that class. I am done with finance for now.
Oh, so you're still at uni? Like you're
Oh man, what's up?
like you're still at university?
Yeah. I'm still. I have one
Oh.
more year to go, but yeah,
Damn,
I'm,
man, you must be young.
I'm only 21. I'm minoring in pre-MBA, and I just finished up my last pre-MBA requisite or my MBA requisite, that pre-MBA
Yeah.
course. It was finance, and
Yeah,
man,
finance
they'll
for
do
the win.
exactly. They'll do those cool.
Yeah.
You know, my phone thinks I'm talking to it. They'll do those cool like if you take $5 and you let it compound annually for 20 years at 5%, or like
Yep.
those kinds of things. It's intriguing, but
That's your
It's just a
backplate,
lot
man.
of-
And you know what'll happen to your backplate? Yeah, exactly. It'll get
It'll
rust.
get-
It'll start looking
Oh,
shitty.
it'll start
and you'll throw it in the bin.
Make it out of plastic. Like I said, it doesn't have to have any thermal properties. It doesn't have to,
I don't think any of them have thermal
Or-
properties. They just look
Plastic
look nice,
backplate.
man.
Okay, I mean, look, the 90 Ti has it. It's got those little heat pads, and it does. That backplate gets hot, and it does take away a tiny portion of the heat from particularly the GPU, but also just the PCB in general. But
Yeah.
it doesn't have to have that functionality for me to want one. I just think it looks good. And I've always been that way. People who watch my videos, I'm always that way. I want it to look great, and I'm kind of willing to sacrifice a bit on some other things to make it look good because
Put
you're
some
gonna have
dry ice on it. Put some dry ice on it, and then you'll have your VR going cool, man. That's the purpose of a backplate.
Well, I just pulled
That's
that
a good
RX,
idea.
I just pulled that RX 480 out of the mini system, and that had the backplate. It looked so good.
It
And then I
does.
put the 1060 in there, which looks so good from the front, but I can't see any of that. So all I see is an exposed PCB, and just just the overhang has the backplate on. I was like, why couldn't you just take that and go across?
The Founders doesn't have a backplate.
No, it has it looks like the backplate is on the overhang, but it's the overhang. But
Yeah.
it's the same material as the backplate is on the 1080 and 1070, which they should have just. I would have liked to have just seen that get extended across. It just
That's
looks
what
nice.
we were saying earlier. Yeah, it just
So
Looks
you
pro.
paid an extra $50 for what?
Why did Leon wants to know why Joker shaved the sexy beard? What are you talking about? It is right here, sir. It's there. Like it is. It is. This beard has not been touched.
Yeah, what? Yeah, but why'd you pay the extra $50?
He ain't letting this one go. He ain't letting
Because
it
it was the first one.
Okay, so you just paid exclusivity tax.
I found
Yeah.
it. It's the Founders Edition, and I found it to be exorbitantly priced.
Hey.
That's what I found about it. I was like the Lois and Clark of GPU purchases. I found it, man.
So what are we looking at now? What topic? Let's move on. What topics?
We're talking about id. We're still talking about performance, and we got id here with async compute. We were kind of talking about that earlier before. And id Software kind of made a statement talking about why they think async compute is going to be a big deal going forward in the future. And they said, quoting them, Doom is already a clear example where async compute, when used properly, can make drastic enhancements to the performance and look of a game. Going forward, compute and async compute will be even more extensively used for id Tech 6. It is almost certain that more developers will take advantage of compute and async compute as they discover how to effectively use it in their games. And I completely agree. They'd be stupid not to use it when it's there and available, and when it's used properly. You can see the type of scaling you get in Doom is absolutely insane.
It was
on the RX,
insane, man. Yeah,
dude,
I
and
saw
like
that.
the RX, like you tested it, Brian. Like the RX 480, like at 1440p, that thing was over 100 frames sometimes. Most of the time, around like 90. It's just like absolute butter, just complete butter.
It was, yeah. Vulkan's impressive. I mean, Vulkan's more impressive than DX12 because of that multi-platform support. But also, they're saying that they can debug it a lot easier than DX12 too, which is another advantage. And you're going to see, like, if Vulkan does indeed not only give these benefits for gamers, but if it also allows the developers to work a lot easier with that API, then we're going to see a lot of Vulkan coming out.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Because I mean, like, Doom was a clear example of it's like finally a game where I can use a different API and I get results. Like I get actual results, So that was
it was definitely more than I would say DX12. I haven't. We were talking about this before the show. Was it before the show or was that on the show? I can't even remember. But it was. It's all kind of blended together for me.
It really is.
But going from DX11 to DX12, I still have not seen a gain like I've seen going from OpenGL to Vulkan on Doom. Nowhere near as close as that much of a gain percentage wise. I don't have an exact percentage right now that I've pulled up, but I could just tell it's more. That's
a good thing. And the game looks good. The game plays really well too, which is something I'm impressed with. So I want to see more of this, and I think a lot of gamers want to see more of this too, right? Because what it's looking like at the moment is kind of like, we got to talk a little about Doom, right? I guess a lot of people want us to talk about Doom and what I saw, what you saw.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a thing here. So, like I said, when I was benchmarking the RX 480, it came about. Like, I just switched off the RX 480 off the test bed, put on the GTX 970, and Doom was the last game that I benchmarked, and then it just happened to be the first game that I benchmarked with the 970. And because I like, that's how I benchmark. I go like, and then I go backwards if I'm testing two cards against each other. And so at the end, the last benchmark when I was doing the 970, I did it a few times because I was like, wow, the FPS is significantly higher here on OpenGL. It's significantly higher. I got to test this again. Like, it wasn't until the 5th time I stopped benchmarking. I was like, I just looked at the picture and I was just like, this looks shit. Like, just, you notice it. You just notice it. I was like, this looks shit. I'm thinking to myself, this looks shit. I'm going to have to mention this in my review. Yeah. And I did. And then people were like, in the review, people were like, wow, can you follow up on that? Can you do more research on it? Can you look into it more? And I did. And what I found was there was something odd going on with that game on Nvidia cards. Something really odd, because my 780... that was at 1080p. It wasn't even using up that 3 gigabytes of VRAM, yet it was still having this odd behavior, and it looked like crap. It looked like arse. So, that's just how it is. And then you did a video. You did your own video countering me. Except the problem was I thought I saw something weird in your video too, where the RX 480 was loading the textures a lot faster than a 1080.
No, some people pointed out after I made the video, and there were some things I wanted to say, to follow up on that also. Is one thing that people had pointed out that I didn't catch it even in my editing. They said that it was making more passes on the Nvidia card. I'm still not 100% sure that it was, because so when it showed the gameplay, it showed the part where I loaded in, and then in my editing, I'm not sure if I made it clear when I did that, but I just I showed it, and then I repeated the exact image again, and I slowed it down and zoomed it in so people could see the spot I was looking at more clearly. And I'm not sure if I maybe cut out some part of the screen on the Nvidia side, but honestly, when I went back and looked at it, it looked like it loaded at the exact same speed, just on loading into the game. However, there was other things that people pointed out that I didn't catch, like when I was walking around with some textures loading in on the 1080 that appeared to be there. They were pretty brief, but they were there and very subtle. So it's still worth, it's not like the 1080 can get rid of it entirely, but it does greatly diminish it because it has that bigger frame buffer with the memory, the bigger memory buffer there.
Yeah, it's got faster memory too, a lot faster. So
yeah, but still, I think the one thing to look at though is that is a $600 roughly card at the low end on the MSRP versus a $240 card. So the fact that the $240 card is handling it as good or better is something worth looking at, I think.
From what I saw in your video, it was handling it better. That was just my opinion.
Yeah, it did appear to be handling it better because I didn't see any of the loading, whereas on the 1080, some people pointed out it was like so quick. It was like a millisecond of when I was walking up to a wall, and it wasn't even like the full texture. It was like a shadow that like just took nothing, like barely anything to load in, but it was there.
So it's like I said, and I don't know what it is, right? That's what I mean. I just when I review tech, I just tell people what I notice a lot of the times because people want to hear that, whether it's stuttering, input lag. I think people have a right to know that as a consumer. What I noticed when I was benchmarking, right? Because we're the people, we're benchmarking it. We're human beings. We've got subjectiveness as much as we like or don't like it. And so I subjectively thought Doom looked better on the AMD card than it did on the Nvidia cards. And I'm going to relay that to my viewers. And hey, people in the past have known how much I've critiqued AMD. Ooh, if you've watched me for a while, you know how much when AMD's called upon for critiquing, I critique them as well. So it's not like, you can't pull out that fanboy crap with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, no, that's what I got. Like my video got so many damn dislikes, man. Like so many people they took it the wrong way or just saw it as just a complete like offensive of me onto you. Like it was a fucking battle.
That's how I took it too, man. Because I was going to bed, and then I wake up like, have you seen this video? I'm like, well, nice of you kind of to discuss this with me before you make.
You were sleeping and I worked on it and then you woke up like right before I was about to upload it and I was just like, hey, just to give you a heads up, I'm about to publish a video that completely counters argues in about 30 seconds.
We're going to ask Greg, did Joker do a douche move in your opinion?
I didn't even see that video. I feel like I'm completely out of the loop. I didn't even... I will go watch that right now, though, after we...
Well, just call it now. Even before you watch it, do you think he made a douche move? Predict. Yeah.
No,
probably.
I didn't.
I'm not telling you beforehand. Yeah, it's a douche move. Yeah, he should have warned him. He should have prepped him. He's got to be prepped.
He was sleeping. Yeah. I can't sit here and wait around 8 hours to work on a video that I felt was pressing. And also, I felt like when I had watched his video, that's because there were some things that he missed on there that I felt people needed to know about because I didn't feel like they were getting the whole picture. And I thought that my fear was, exactly what exactly.
Pun intended. They weren't getting the whole picture.
My fear is exactly what happened though. Is that people saw that who are on the side of AMD, and they started sharpening their pitchforks, and they were like, "Oh, they saw blood in the water. Oh my God, something bad about Nvidia. Let's go kill Nvidia now." I mean, even Roy Taylor from AMD tweeted out your video because he works for AMD, but he's also like a massive AMD fanboy. He's pretty blind to it, but I think he acknowledged that. But that's okay. But yeah, like Roy Taylor even tweeted out, I was like, "Oh my God, this is spreading. The misinformation is spreading." So that's why I was like, that's what I was fearful about, and that's all I wanted to correct. But yeah, it's still back on topic though with Vulkan though, and why we were talking about how the advantages it's providing in Doom, and just to kind of expand on that on why it's with Vulkan and DX12, those are really the two big low-level APIs now that Mantle is basically dead or is Vulkan, kind of. And why would you want Vulkan over DX12, or why is one better than the other? Well, just compare on the technology side of things, they're pretty even. But where Vulkan takes the lead for me, at least, and you guys let me know if you agree or not, is that the fact that it's open source and it's completely backwards compatible, because that works on Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, Mac OS X, Linux. It doesn't matter. It works on everything. And that, for me, is the big thing with Vulkan, because that means that more developers and more people get access to it, whereas with DirectX 12, it's Windows 10 only. You can't even use it on older versions of Windows. because Microsoft
Yeah.
wants to lock it down, and it feels almost like it's like almost like they're trying to console the PC. They're trying to console us onto one operating system with Microsoft and their API as well.
Yeah. Or using it as leverage to motivate people, because a lot of people are still tense about upgrading to Windows 10,
Yeah.
security reasons. They just don't like the OS, whatever. So using something like DirectX 12, which we expect to be a much bigger thing in the next couple of years, as leverage to, I guess, incentivize people to upgrade, is smart on their part in a sense that it might work to a degree, but it's also kind of a dick move, because at the same time you're telling people that if they're dead set on not upgrading, they're going to be stuck with DX11. And I mean, from what we've seen so far, if you have an AMD card and you don't plan on upgrading anytime soon on DX11, you are holding your card back to a certain extent.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian? What do you think?
Well, they got to take care of it's all about taking care of the developers with an API, and it looks like Vulkan is starting to do that a lot better than what DirectX 12 is. I mean, you go to a developer and you say, look, make our game on DirectX 12 or make it on Vulkan, and the people from Vulkan are like, make it on our API. You can cater for this group, this group, this group, this group, this group. DirectX 12 people come, hey, you can make it for this group, Windows 10. So it's starting to play out that Vulkan is looking a lot better than what DX12 is. And that's a good thing, because, hey, people should be able to play games on a free OS. People should be able to play. They shouldn't have to upgrade to Windows 10.
And that should just be a common sense. It's a common sense standpoint. Yeah, because they're going to say, well, we're isolating our player base to one operating system, or we can use this API, which will expand that to OS X, Linux, Windows. I mean, yeah, everything's included, not just one.
Yeah. And plus Doom. Well, Doom's already got a phenomenal. It's a, what is it? Idle statue. It's a showcase of what Vulkan can be, which is great.
Yep.
What kind of games have we got out there with DX12 that are outstanding at the moment? I mean, Ashes is...
Well, Forza runs really well for a DX12 game, and
Okay.
Killer Instinct also runs pretty well too.
Okay, but I mean, I've heard of some real flops out there, right? Like
Quantum Break.
Yeah. Wasn't Hitman a bit... Tomb Raider, yeah?
Hitman and Rise of the Tomb Raider both run very well, in my opinion. I think they both scale excellently.
Okay.
I never saw that when I tested. I didn't see the improvements that I expected from it in both of those games.
Yeah, not like a massive improvement, but I'm just saying the games in general did run pretty well. They
right, yeah,
they weren't Quantum Break. Is what I mean.
They didn't collapse on itself halfway through the benchmark or anything like that. Yeah, that is true.
Basically, on the DX12 scale right now, you have to rate things on a scale of Forza to Quantum Break. So,
or Ashes to the Singularity, you can do that one.
Well, Ashes would be in there. It would be in there, and maybe slightly above the closer to the high end. It wouldn't be at the bottom of. It certainly is not a.
I feel like they tried to spearhead that. Like they tried to spearhead that game as like the DirectX 12 game. Like this is the game that will reveal that DirectX 12 is the best thing out there.
I'll be honest.
Just dumped all over it in a game that's three times as intensive.
Dude, I literally just found out today that Ashes of the Singularity is actually a game.
I've never played. I only benchmark with that.
Yeah, I bought it for the benchmark too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
So did I. Before G2A got outed as people fucking over developers, I got it for $12 on G2A.
So in other words, when we put the title in there, Ashes of the Singularity DX12 benchmark, should we put in there afterwards? No one cares because no one plays this game.
That's what I get in the comments. A bunch of that game isn't even a game; it's just a benchmarking tool.
It's literally just a way of testing DirectX 12, kind of like the Timespy benchmark.
But that's what I mean. Like you would expect a game like that to perform so much better in DirectX 12. Like when you just switch DX11 to DX12, I don't see it. I didn't see it in my RX 480 benchmarks. I just don't see what they promised with that game happening. It didn't happen for me. So.
They should just make it like $3 version where you can just get the benchmark.
Just the benchmark. I mean, they'd probably get more sales from that than the actual game. I don't even think anybody knows it's that.
I don't think anyone plays it as. I think on Steam it has mixed reviews. I think I remember seeing that it has mixed reviews.
Ashes of the Singularity strategy. Quit game. Hit benchmark. Smile.
I've never hit play game up to. I've never hit that.
I hit it by accident.
By accident.
Yeah. What happened? We just lost both your video streams.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm back. I think.
Am I back?
It says I need Skype Premium to make a group video call.
Yeah, what is
Brian,
this?
Oh,
Brian,
the
did your
stream-
Skype Premium just expire like just now?
No, I've got cash on my Skype account.
I think it just expired mid-stream.
Wow, that's
I
pretty
see you.
bad.
Okay, no, it's back. It was back for a second. Now it's gone again.
Am I in? I don't know. It says I am.
You're in, but Brian's not.
Woo.
Okay,
Wait,
Now
am I-
Brian's
in
coming
it?
back.
And
You're
look-
coming back. All right, now you're there.
It still says to me though, you need Skype Premium to make a group video.
Yeah, mine says that too.
All right, well, it's back now. We can see both of you.
It's
Crisis
just really
averted.
dark. I don't know why.
Yeah. Am I looking dark on the stream?
No, well, you've been looking kind of dark since the start. Looks like you got a shit ton of contrast.
Okay.
Okay, yours. It just looks like from my
Yeah,
perspective that you have no light.
we're both dark.
Yeah,
We're in the
before.
middle.
Okay, yeah, before when it came back for me for a brief second, it was really, really dark. But then it came back again, and now it's corrected. It looks fine on my end.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
cool. As long as it looks fine on your end, you're
Yeah,
doing
as long
it.
as they see
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Everything looks fine now on the stream. Now that we're back, it's all good. So yeah, we're talking about this, and we're talking about benchmarks. So I think we should kind of go into this 3D Mark benchmark, the Timespy benchmark that came out this past week, because that is actually just a benchmark, the DirectX 12 benchmark, unlike Ash's.
Yeah, okay, so what's the gist of this? They basically have the option there to enable asynchronous compute. And when you enable it, AMD cards start soaring through the roof with the benchmarks. And then when you have it disabled, of course,
Well-
nothing much happens.
Well, the issue that came about is that the people at FutureMark put out a press release, like a massive documents just explaining everything about their benchmark, and people techie people went through and read through all of that, and they found a couple of sentences in there that kind of stuck out. Talking about async compute and parallel render paths and how it is handling the rendering of games. And in a perfect world, on like something like maybe like Doom, for example, with Vulkan, it would be using parallel render paths. So it would be using the render paths completely simultaneously. It's kind of like perfect scaling multi-GPU versus SLI. Whereas when it's doing it in serial, it's actually going back and forth and alternating between the render paths, which is not as efficient. And that's what it seems to be doing right now. And the reason it would seem to do that is because it kind of allows Nvidia to kind of gain a leg up there. It would it helps out Nvidia a lot, actually, quite a bit. It closes the gap considerably. I know, like I tested earlier today with the RX 480 and the GTX 1060, and the margin between the two is only about 50 points on the graphics score, which is almost a negligible difference on these kind of benchmarks with the scores. It's not FPS, it's a score.
Yeah. Well, basically, I mean, what it looks like, basically, this is the analogy I can give you. You can, you've got a 2-liter and you've got a V8, and you can only tweak a 2-liter so far. It's still going to be a 2-liter engine. Doesn't matter what you do to it, it's still not going to have as much torque as a V8 engine. And so you got games that will expose that. There will be games coming out that will expose that difference.
That's an excellent analogy, actually.
Well, that's just the way as we know, like I worked on cars for ages since I was a teenager, man. It's like, you got your 4 cylinders, they're great, they're turbo, and they're awesome. Yeah, they're great, but you can only tweak them so far. 2 liters still going to be a 2-liter, and so, there's things that it just can't do as well as a V8. But and of course, there's things that'll do a lot better. It'll guzzle a lot less petrol, so than a V8. So that's the analogy that sort of weighs in here with these two titans of AMD and Nvidia. And I think, I don't know, and it looks like with the X12, it's going to be able to take full advantage of AMD's hardware, which is great for gamers. Who doesn't like free performance? Who doesn't like, free gains on their hardware?
True.
And
they FutureMark came forward today, and they made a statement about this, and tried to clarify things, and actually, what in their clarification, what they said is that the way that it's actually working is that it allows the driver to decide what it's going to use. So for the AMD side, as long as the drivers are supporting it, then it can render in complete parallel. And then for NVIDIA side, if the way they would do it in their drivers is to do it in serial. So it wouldn't. And I'm not saying not like Frosted Flakes or Corn Flakes. I'm talking about
SERIAL.
serial, mate.
Linearly.
Queuing. In other words,
Yeah.
NVIDIA's going to have to take more advantage of a queue form structure.
Yeah, and and where I see that as being bad is like, okay, you're allowing one side to take advantage of the other, but that's kind of helping out Nvidia in the sense that they're not equipped at the hardware level to take care of this, so they're kind of boofing the benchmarks
Because they should they should have that in their car.
and-
Pascal
yeah.
should have had that. Like, why they didn't change? I mean, the fundamental architecture of the GPU changed.
because
but
Pascal is basically Maxwell.
Greg, you got to remember, they spent
that's the problem.
billions on
Oh, yeah.
Pascal. They spent billions on
Yeah,
Pascal.
it's
Just
too
to
late, man.
rehash. Smart rehash, but they spent billions on it.
Yeah, they basically shrunk Maxwell and overclocked it to the hilt.
And here's the thing:
That's
AMD
Pascal.
saw this coming several years ago. Okay,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that Nvidia did not adjust, I just don't. I don't know.
I think they thought that it would take a lot longer for this to come about than it has.
Okay.
Because that's just my theory. I think and the reason I think AMD is handling it so much better now is because they have been developing for it basically since like the 200 series of cards, since we saw Mantle come about back around like when BF4 launched.
Right.
That was the first Mantle title to have it in beta on there, and there wasn't many after that, but it was there, and that's basically become Vulkan now.
Well, they
And
proved once
because-
you take advantage of that
It's
design,
amazing.
GCN 1.1, I think it was 1.1 for the 200 series. Once you take advantage of that architecture, it does wonders. I mean, it literally changes the way that the game is played, the way it looks on screens. But you have to convince people to take on that API, to convince people to take on that platform. If they don't do it, as was the case for Mantle, arguably, then it's gonna look like a run-of-the-mill card, But in the case of Vulkan, what we're starting to see now, those true colors are starting to show again, and I personally hope that continues, because I think that's how things should be handled at a hardware level within graphics cards. That to me
And again, it
makes more
comes down
sense.
a lot to it. A lot of AMD comes down to AMD themselves. They need to work on getting a bigger marketing budget. They needed more finance. That's what we've argued in the past countless times with AMD and their finance. It's literally in the red. So while Nvidia's in the green. So that's something that
Haha,
That'll
that
spark some
pun.
comments down below.
well, that's how it is at the moment.
But
you
it
can't
is
argue fact. You can't argue fact. It's facts are facts.
They don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, where are we going from here with AMD? But the good thing about AMD is at least that they're finally getting the attention they deserve. That's all I'm going to say, especially with their graphics card and their architecture, which is good. And it's good for the gamers.
And their CPUs. I mean, I did a thing on the FX CPUs. They were designed kind of in the same way, and not in the case of
the
just
FX CPUs are kind of like they're mixed, very mixed bag.
Yes,
And
and
for
it's
the
very
general
complicated.
consumer. For the general consumer, though, in my opinion, they're a bit of a loss. Like
They are. Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that. They are, but I think, and that's where I think they messed up, was they had
Yep.
these plans for these, basically the different ways that the FPUs are shared. And you have a single decoder and fetcher and all that. Those kinds of plans that they had for the CPUs, those never manifested themselves into games, and in the ways that APIs handled the interactions between CPUs and GPUs, which is why today buying an FX CPU for the most part is just kind of crazy. Like I honestly
well,
cannot
especially with
justify-
Zen on the horizon.
just
yeah.
if you're really like dead set on AMD, just wait. But I it just kind of, I don't know. It's surprising to me that they chose to do that without the guarantee that they would have people backing up the hardware, and that led to, I mean, how bulldozers looked at now, pile
Ooh,
drivers.
they got with FX, they got hammered too, because there was that Intel optimization as well, the coding paths, and it's
Yes, yes.
like that was that was real as well. You can't
And yeah, just how Windows in general did the same thing with how they optimized threads within Intel CPUs. It would literally thread it like it was a hyper-threaded processor, like with 4 cores and 8 threads for the FX 8350, for example. But that obviously isn't how the pile driver architecture is designed. So you're doing that CPU a disservice, and that's Windows doing that. That's not even third-party software. That's Windows itself giving the advantage to Intel, at least, And whether or not AMD saw that coming beforehand, I'm not aware of that, but.
So Joker's gone rogue. He's gone MIA. So what do we?
I was just letting you guys hash out your
we're
discussion
good.
there.
It's good, man. It's a great discussion too.
I was
So
sitting back and practicing the art of not talking over people that your viewers are always pointing out that I do.
Wow.
well,
I've seen the comments, and I'm trying to adjust and learn. That's what I'm always doing here. It's always a learning experience. Trying
we
to get
kind
better.
of get to get on with the topics too, brother. So.
Yeah, we got to get on with the
A lot of
topics too.
tabs,
So,
a lot of tabs.
next, well, most of these are. That was pretty much the meat and potatoes of today's thing is 3D Mark and 1060. The rest of it is some pretty quick fire topics. But this next one, this is kind of close to my heart a bit. Start with Battlefront. I gave them a lot of shit about this game when it came out. A lot of shit. And I feel completely justified, even more so in that fact. Now, I mean, I already felt pretty justified to begin with. I mean, the game was an absolute pile of crap. And well, what did it ship with? 4 maps? 4 maps, and if you played the 40 player, you got 2 maps. Big GG, Dice, GG. And then, like, one of the big complaints when the game came out is, oh, where are the space battles? There's no space battles. Well, this is answering that question, is they gouged it out of the game from that $60 price tag for the 4 maps that you got for just multiplayer because, well, the co-op sucked. So the space battles that people should have got, they just ripped that out, and now they're charging extra money for you to get what you wanted to begin with, which was what, Angry Joe talked about before the game came out, that there was content, gouged out of it. I talked about it. Loads of people talked about it, and it's just been proven. It's been proven time and time again with all the DLCs that are coming out, and now this Space Battles, yeah, here we go. It's finally in the game. Who cares? No one wants to play your piece of shit game.
Make it a DLC. Perfect. That's the solution.
I'll just say, I heard about the 4 maps issue. I never even considered downloading the game because of that alone. I just didn't even. I have never touched it. I've never even considered purchasing it on Steam or whatever.
I wish that was the worst thing about the game, but it's not even close.
It's not Steam, but
I liked it.
I could actually deal with 4 maps if the maps and the gameplay and everything else was amazing. Like, they nailed the graphics, they nailed the sound design and all that, but the rest of it was just blah. There was no soul to that game whatsoever, and they had everything set and ready for it, and they could have knocked it out of the park, but they didn't. And I think we talked about that topic when it came up, is that they've even come forward now and said that, yes, this game had to be rushed in order to get out in time to line up with the movie. So that is why you were missing out on content, and now we're getting it later on because now they could finally work it in. But it doesn't change the fact that people paid $60 for 4 maps, and now they're being asked to pay more, was it $50 for a season pass or like $15 a pack, I think it is. You're being asked to pay even more. So you're like $110 game, basically.
I'm not getting the whole rush it out with the movie because they didn't even have much from the movie, right? They didn't have Kylo Ren in it. They didn't have this and that in it. So I'm kind of, their decision to rush it out with the movie was a bit stupid.
I think that's because they wanted to play on the heartstrings of fans of the old games.
It's name recognition. They just say Star Wars.
I mean, ultimately, I played the beta and I really liked it, but I thought, well, I didn't even get to, I only got 2 maps. So I was like, well, I'm going to wait for this to come down in price. And it never came down in price. So I never bought it.
Yeah.
Tragedy.
Yeah. Typical EA stuff. Hate them. Well, that was my angry fat guy rant for the week.
Can we talk about the Nintendo? This thing looks cool.
Yeah, it looks so awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's holding it in his hand. It's fitting.
It's like the size of a Roku or something.
I'm just gonna put my only complaint out there. Can I put my only complaint out there?
Just go on, take it away.
It just doesn't have all the Mega Mans on there. It should have Mega Man 1 to 6. Like, it should have that. And like, that would be like, for me, I'd be queuing up in the morning to get one of these things. It comes out on my birthday too, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm planning to get like 2 of these things, I think.
So they're $100 Australian, 60 American. Apparently they've been like pre-ordered out.
In Australia.
I don't know. In Australia, they're taking pre-orders. Apparently, they're taking pre-orders.
Well, I don't believe in pre-ordering, but when this thing goes up for pre-order, if I haven't missed it yet, I'm gonna pre-order 2 of these things because it looks so cool.
That's I don't believe in pre-orders, but this is worthy of pre-ordering.
Yeah. So, and I think it's, before I say like one of the drawbacks or one of my concerns, I want to commend Nintendo for the games list that they came up with, because I think they just knocked it out of the park for the most part. There's a couple on there that like I haven't played or heard of, like and one thing I thought was weird was Dr. Mario. I was like, why Dr. Mario instead of Tetris?
That's no problem for me. Like, you got Legend of Zelda, you got Adventure Link there, you've got all such good titles on that thing, but you just don't have all the Mega Mans. That's where I was.
And no Paperboy either.
Yeah, well,
that was a good game.
Paperboy is cool. Yeah,
that was awesome.
But yeah, otherwise though, I think they did a great job. They got 2 Castlevanias on there. Bubble Bobble is great. Donkey Kong Games, Double Dragon, Ninja Gaiden, the original Final Fantasy, Galaga, like three of the original Mario Brothers games. They've got some classic games on here, just all good titles. Like, most of these are like not just like decent games, but like some of the best games from the NES. So I think they did a great job.
I'm actually really surprised they're not coupling in a Pokemon with it. Their Pokemon Go. Like, you would have thought they would have done something like that. Buy the Nintendo and you get this Pokemon or whatever.
Now, being that we are PC guys, I think it's worth noting that most of this stuff can already be done with emulation. Most of the people could do this on an HTPC with emulation. And my concern here with this console is that in the past that we've seen we've seen classic consoles come out like this before, and the games have never played or looked as good as they did on the original NES because it's just basically another form of emulation, which is it's never been great. It's a way of playing them, but it doesn't look as good or play as good as the originals. So how are they going to handle that on this time? That's going to be my big concern.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy on looks as usual, so I look at this and I say they did a great job with the design. And the fact that they kept the original design of the NES for the most part, I think is the coolest thing about this. I mean, the games, whatever, it's preferential, but the look of this thing, how they didn't change much. It looks it looks beautiful, in my opinion. I think it looks great. And I was a PlayStation guy. I grew up playing PS1, which it wasn't known for its beautiful looks. So the fact that they were able to keep
it was a
this,
piece of shit, wasn't it?
oh man, I still have the original one. I got a video on YouTube. I was breaking it down. I was like, man, this really is not all that nice looking. It's like the original Xbox, I guess. You either love it or you hate it. I didn't really.
Kind of like
No,
the
it's-
original Xbox. I got one here.
See, I've never
busted.
liked the original Xbox. It was just too bulky.
It was huge. It was
Yeah,
It was,
I mean,
it
The
was
original,
sleek, man.
controllers too, before they slimmed them down, man, those things were monsters.
Dude, you had to have big. I couldn't reach my
Dude,
hands
those things
over
were-
past the analogs.
Dude, they were like dinner plates, man. It was
But
so huge.
that's what I like about the old school, man. You got product for your money. Nowadays, everything's like so,
It's like, yeah, we're not going to give you the performance. We're just going to give you more physical product. Even if it doesn't make sense, we're just going to give you more physical
More
product.
plastic.
Yeah, but like kind of like you
More
feel
plastic,
like nowadays
yeah.
you're going down. Like you used to go down, you used to buy the bacon, you used to get not much fat. Nowadays you're going down, you buy it's just a whole packet of fat. You're like, yeah, fuck. Yeah, screw this.
I've
Well,
worked
he-
in a meat
I'm
department.
keeping
I
my
can attest to
money.
that.
Well,
can
here, I
attest
got
to
okay. All right, before we go into this next topic, I have a question for you guys as well as the chat is, what is the best looking console of all time? What do you think the best looking console is? I'll tell you, my vote's for the PS2. That's my vote.
Ooh. I'm gonna go out and say PS4. I like
Yeah,
the way
I'm
it
gonna
looks.
say PS4 too. Yeah,
I'm
think
just
they
like-
killed Xbox on the look department. In that one.
Yeah, they killed the Xbox One. Yeah, the Xbox One did look like a VCR.
Like I gotta say, I thought they nailed. Like I got the PS4. I'm looking at. I'm like, I'm going through my head, cycling through all the consoles now, and yeah, they kind of nailed the PS4, man. It looks
sleek.
awesome.
It looks-
I mean, there is
Well,
some
you know
rare,
what's-
there is some rare versions of like some
Yeah,
of the
the-
N64s and stuff that look really good.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going with the PS4 there because I thought I saw the
Oh,
classic
okay.
version of that. That looked really good.
No,
You
like
see
there
that
are some
one?
rare ones out there. Like there's this also the Star Wars PS3, I think it is, or it looks awesome, dude. Like it really is cool. When you press the CD tray, it like makes the Star Wars noise too. Like I think it's
The chat is pretty overwhelming for the
Xbox
PS4.
One? I think it's Xbox One. I forgot. My brother's got it. It's a Star Wars edition, and it's so cool, man. Like it's pretty rare, but it is so freaking cool. I'm like, wow, that thing looks awesome. So, but yeah, there's some boutique ones, but mainstream console, yeah, PS4.
Yeah, the chat seems pretty overwhelming about the PS4. And I was
Yeah.
talking about the classic one that looks like a PlayStation 1 in its color scheme. I thought that looked great. It was a shame that they were in such limited quantities, and then you can only get them by paying exorbitant amounts of money, but it looked so good.
like that
Yeah.
undersaturated tan color. Is that what you're talking about? They're like I don't know,
It
gray.
was like gray. It was like an 18% gray, basically.
Yeah, yeah, I
With the
don't-
original color scheme and all, it looked so cool. And the controllers, I would have been happy just getting one of the controllers. I would just like one of those PS1 looking controllers so that I could use it with PC. PC. That's what I meant to say.
I still have the original PS1 controller without the analog sticks on there. I feel naked with like holding that thing. It's just it's a totally different experience. I feel super strange holding it. I don't know. If you ever, yeah, some people might not.
Yeah, sorry, the chat corrected me. It's Xbox 360. The
I was
thinking
thinking of
R2D2.
yeah, 360.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go check it out. There's a guy who's made a video on YouTube. It's the whole video. He's showing you. It's got such cool features on it compared, like not features, but just differences. It's pretty cool.
But could you gamble on it?
Oh well, that's the thing. Could you gamble on it? So
That's a
this
good
is the next
segue.
one. We got Valve lawyers send cease and desist letters to Counter Strike gambling sites. So what's happened here, right? It's like the stripping industry, right? Got all the strippers. You know, people are going in, they're getting happy, but then one strip club has decided to bring in children, and they're like, "No, we've got to shut the whole thing down."
Jesus.
Jeez,
Oh,
you went
shutting-
that direction,
Yeah,
Brian? God.
we're shutting the whole thing down.
Whoa.
How did
Sorry,
we go?
boys.
How did we go from
Whoa.
gambling into kiddie
Yeah.
porn now?
Well,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
but that's the example, right? What they're doing, Valve has just said, no, we're putting a stop to all of it. One guy's done the bad thing. Yeah, one bad
this
apple's
video
ruined
just
the
got age
bunch.
restricted.
Yeah.
I had
What?
something to say about this, but I'm gonna let y'all do it after that.
no, Greg, you go ahead. But that's
No,
just
I'm
my
good.
example. What's
Look,
happening?
I've never been a big CS:GO player, just because I prefer controllers. I grew up on consoles, and I recently made the switch to PC gaming. So I've still held on to my Xbox One controller for that reason. And you cannot, I don't care what you say, you can't play CS:GO on a controller. Don't
Yeah.
try it. So
Get
I've
wrecked.
never been a
Did
fan.
you get wrecked?
Yeah, I got wrecked multiple times. Yeah, it was humiliating. It was.
Can I tell you that your preferential, you know, your preference for the controller in games is triggering me a bit.
Yes.
I'm feeling a bit triggered.
It's just what I grew up playing. I never.
I understand, but I want to come to your house and take all of the controllers out so you don't have any other options. Like I did to my brother.
I see. Are you like when you play on a mouse and keyboard? Are you like shaking because you want to get your controller? Yeah, he is. Oh, he is.
Look, a mouse is too. Like I'm very sensitive to the motion sensitivity when I play games. My brothers freak out when I play like Black Ops 3, which I have on here. I turn my sensitivity down to like 3, and people are like, "You can't play with sensitivity 3. There's no way."
You can.
You can, and I do it for a reason. It's because I'm more precise. Like when I'm swiping the screen, I can stop right when I want. Some people can do it on like 10, but I'm not that good. So I keep it at 3, and it goes right where I want it. But with a mouse, it's a lot more finicky for me. I have to adjust the way that the
How
mouse
much time?
behaves.
Well, let me ask you, how much time did you put into the mouse and keyboard to try to get used to it?
Well, in CS:GO, that was all I used. And
Well, because I know, like, when I came back over to the PC a few years ago, it was Battlefield 3 time. I made the mistake of trying to use a controller, and I just kept getting owned like you did in CS:GO. So I just kind of, I was just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna fucking get good. Just kind of get good, man. So I just went and pounded through some single player campaigns on mouse and keyboard. I played through Call of Duty 2. I played through the Battlefield 3 campaign, and then I hopped into some close quarters on Battlefield 3, which is really fast paced, and I started doing really, really good eventually.
That's
and
crazy.
Eventually
When did you guys make the transition? See, when I was like, I think 10 years old, that's when I started playing PC games. So the transition was easy for me, going from a controller to a mouse and keyboard. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I played loads of shooters back in like junior high and stuff like that on mouse and keyboard and as a kid. But then what happened was later on, like around like high school, I guess, or after high school when the original Xbox around that time came out, then I had started to heavily play just consoles because of the original Xbox. Me and my friends all played split screen Halo, for years, and then I was on the 360 and the PS3, and I just played controller for years and years, probably like a good maybe 7-8 years. And then, Battlefield 3, came out, and I saw, I was like, oh my God, they've got 64 players. We've got like 12 or something. Like, I was just like, I need to get on that. And the graphics are so much better. And that was like what set it all off.
So I guess what's going to come out of here is for the fathers out there, get your kids started young. Get those motor skills developed for mouse and keyboard. Don't let your kids end up like Greg, okay? Don't let your kids end up like Greg.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I know it's a crutch. I know I get hate for it, but I just can't do it because I know when I make the switch permanently, I'm gonna suck so bad. I have a KDR. I have a KDR in Black Ops 3. I can't lose that.
Go practice on something. Practice on something.
Dude, his motor skills, the stem of his brain has been evolved into a controller. You can't change that. It's done.
I never even started with computer. I've always played. Like I said, the PlayStation 1 was like that was the thing, and I had that for. Then I got the PS2. Then I made the switch to Xbox, which that's a whole other story. Switching from that PS controller to an Xbox controller is like the same.
Dude, I'm telling you,
motor
play
skills.
some single
man.
And the locations of buttons, it's like
he's just
play
too
some
used
single
to it,
player.
Man. He ain't coming to it. He ain't
just
coming
play
back.
some.
He's
Go
gone,
play
man.
some. Go play some single player Doom. Do that. Play through. No, I'm telling you, go play Doom. Play Wolfenstein. Play the new Wolfenstein on mouse and keyboard.
Here's the most extreme that I've ever played a game, a PC game that's first person, third person shooter. And this was first person. Serious Sam, the original Serious Sam game on PC, which was ballin'. Okay, I played that game with a mouse and keyboard, and I never felt like I was handicapped to any degree. And I don't know if it was the game or just me when I was younger, but that was the only game that I can think of that I played with a mouse and keyboard. That's a shooter style game. They have weird guns and whatnot, but if I tried to do that today, there's no way I couldn't. Like I said, I am lost. No. There's no hope.
No, wait, there is one hope. Solitary confinement.
We have to do to him
with a mouse and a keyboard.
We have to do to him what I did to my brother. when I converted my brother over to PC, I took the controllers, even though it works on some games. I just took them away and I put them away and I put them in a box.
Here's what I would
And
do. I
he,
just wouldn't play.
after a
Just go
few
buy
days,
another.
he actually
No, solitary confinement for Greg. Greg's like that's what I mean. Greg's now fully his brain's changed. You see, the only way you're changing that
Dude,
is
we gotta convert him, dude.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. We got to lock him in a cell with a mouse and keyboard.
My brother came to me after a few days. He's like, I want a controller so I could go do some quick scopes on Call of Duty, and I was so triggered.
Oh.
Like the triggering was intensifying at that point, and I was just like,
that is
no.
not why I use a controller.
I was just like, no, you were not getting. You're definitely not getting a controller. If you want to use a controller for Mortal Kombat or something, it's like okay.
Those kinds of
but
kids
for quick scopes, like, you are not my brother.
I can't. If I see any quick scope, I leave the map. Call me whatever you want. I quit. If you're a quick scoper to that, I mean, all good on you. But that's just not how the game was intended. So I can't jive with that. It's not me.
So really quick though, well, not really. I feel like we've gotten a bit off topic because we were kind of talking about CS:GO and gambling. So I feel like we should
cap it on my controller issues.
Well, hey man, you brought that on yourself.
I know.
I would personally, if that was me, I wouldn't have mentioned that on the internet ever.
Oh, it's okay. I have no shame.
It would have been like my secret shame.
It's to me, it's just I'm not a pro in any game, and I don't claim to be. I'm sure I get wrecked by 90% of kids who watch my videos, but I just can't do it. I enjoy the experience with a controller. I like feeling just one thing in my hand that can do everything versus having two separate units that. Anyway, that's going back off topic again. But...
Yeah, all right.
Well, I mean, so anyways, yeah, 23 online sites were served from Valve. 23 sites. They've been told, look, cease your gambling operations. And also on the same note that Valve has been served a proposed class action lawsuit from the papers, but when I click the link, it just says a mum. So, I don't know. So
literally
a mum
say
is... Yeah, like it says mum takes on Valve. Okay, so a mum's just taken on Valve here. I mean, I'm putting my money on Valve just to, a multi-billion-dollar corporation versus a mum. So, yeah.
But one mum can turn into many mums.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean...
How many mums are going to care about that? Well,
how many mums are going to accumulate to billions of dollars in,
I don't know, man. I was at Walmart last week. They had mums everywhere in the garden department.
Okay.
Where are you?
And how many of them are willing to just start throwing money at solicitors?
I guess you missed the joke. It's okay. Never mind. Mums are plants, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I still don't
grow.
get it.
I do not know if they're plants.
Puns, man. Jesus Christ.
All right.
You're turning me religious.
Am I the only one who doesn't
know
understand what you're talking about right now?
I guess so.
You went to Walmart?
Yeah. What did that even? What was the plants thing? What are you talking about? Women are plants?
Mums.
Oh, mums. Oh, the plant mums. Oh.
Wow. Finally.
Hey, it doesn't matter, Greg. I didn't get it. Who cares?
It's okay, Brian. You made that joke a couple weeks ago about being a big fan of something. Everyone missed it, but the chat was dying, and I didn't catch that until afterwards.
Okay, anyway.
So yes, anyway, CS:GO gambling, basically on the back of all that shit with T. Martin and what's his name, Mr. Shit Syndicate, this all has gotten shut down now. So I guess that's one good thing that came out of this. All of these gambling websites are getting shut down, so we don't have to see any more of those videos online. So that's good stuff. Anyway, Coffee Lake makes me think about Drake's Coffee Cake. Brian, you want to talk about this one?
Well, okay, so what we're seeing here is apparently Cabby Lake is being replaced by Cannon Lake in the second half of 2007. But what we're getting now is Coffee Lake, and it's going to be 14 nanometer as well.
Terrible name. Terrible name.
So, I mean, I don't know what's exactly going on here with Intel's roadmap, but it just seems like things are changing up again. I mean, honestly, the way Intel's going now, I'm going to be honest, I don't really follow Intel that much with their whole roadmap because the gains that we've seen out of the CPUs, just for an enthusiast, just haven't been big, They haven't been really worth following. So what we're seeing here is Cannon Lake is rumored to be out in 2018, perhaps? 2017? I mean, honestly, I don't even know what's going on here. So
Cannon Lake is 2017, late 2017.
Yeah. So I mean, Cannon Lake's the one that's going to be next after Sky Lake. No, wait. This is what I'm confused because it's got 14 nanometer here, which is Cabby Lake.
Yeah.
That's coming out early.
Yeah.
And then Cannon Lake's going to be 10 nanometer.
So is that the talk? No, I thought Cabby was the tick. Or is the Cabby the second talk?
Okay, so Skylake was a tick and a talk, essentially, right? Because
I thought they did a tick.
I
thought they did a tick-tock talk.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah, that's essentially what they're doing.
Okay, so this is a talk also. So they did a so this is the second talk.
Yeah, it's the second talk because essentially what happened with Broadwell was they had problems with the yields, right? So
Yeah.
Broadwell just got breezed over. We forgot about it. And then we got a tick and a talk in one with Skylake, but we essentially didn't get that because the gains were just not there. Kaby Lake is now the true talk to
Gotcha.
14 nanometer, right? And so I'm hoping we'll get some big gains out of it. Then Cannon Lake is going to be the 10 nanometer microprocessor. Though what we're seeing is now we've got Ice Lake. That's going to be the talk to Cannon Lake.
They
And then
need
we're
to get
seeing.
rid of these lakes.
I know
It's
there's just too many
confusing, man.
lakes. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. There's just so many lakes out there. I'm confused as well.
Dude, can we just give them numbers or something, man? Just number them. It's fine, honestly. We can just and then make them go up consecutively the way
thing
numbers
is,
do.
Yeah, but what we're seeing with Coffee Lake, apparently it's going to be a mainstream
That
6 core,
name
which is pretty cool.
terrible.
That's
weird, eh?
awful, man. It makes me want to go get some Drake's coffee
so
cake right
bad.
now.
Well, like imagine drinking a whole lake of coffee. You'd be dead. Like, it's just,
You got a
yeah.
point there, folks. Yeah.
Like at least Sky Lake, you got a lake in the sky. You know what I mean? Cabby Lake, you got some random name with a lake. Okay, Coffee Lake.
I was
it's
gonna
kinda
say,
like-
if you knew what that was, I'd be surprised.
yeah, but I can't picture what a coffee lake just doesn't sit well in my memory. But yeah, okay, we're gonna get a first mainstream 6 core with Coffee Lake apparently from the rumors. So yeah, and it's coming in possibly 2017, 2018. I'm not too sure when this is coming out. So we just got 2018 there on the slide. Coffee Lake 6 core, 4 core, 2 core. And it's also going to have an embedded GPU on a 6 core. That'd be interesting. That's actually weird. I can't picture that yet. So
I could picture myself if I had one not using it. apart from if I had to boot the system without a graphics card installed. That's basically the only benefit of that.
Well,
to me.
you can actually start to take advantage of it with streaming, though. A lot of people are starting to utilize those 4 cores, the onboard GPU portion for streaming, which is really good. Because then essentially you can run a 4 core for a lot of your daily operations. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a casual or just a mainstream user. Just a sec.
There's some more like explicit multi-adapter too. Being able to use integrated graphics, onboard graphics, in tandem with explicit display adapters.
Right, let's get on.
Not substantial gains, of course. I wouldn't
So-
think that it would be a normal thing, but what's he doing back there?
I don't know.
Something. Can you hear me still?
yeah, we can hear you. We never
Okay,
stopped
cool.
hearing you.
Okay, cool. All right.
By the
awesome.
way, do you know what goes good with Drake's coffee cake? Land O'Lake butter. Maybe.
Say,
I
did
don't
you
know.
say coffee cake?
Yeah, coffee cake. That's
Yeah,
what
there
I'm
we
call,
go.
that's what
Can
I'm
you hear
that's
me
what
now?
I'm that's what I'm calling this launch by Intel.
That would
It's
make more sense.
it's the coffee cake processor.
Coffee lake, that's a typo.
It's not coffee lake. It's coffee cake, and then you throw some Land O'Lakes on there.
Can you hear me?
Head up
good?
to Greenwood Lake. And,
Am I good?
Take a swim in the lake. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, cool. Sorry, yeah, it's just it unplugged, and then I had to plug it back in and stuff, and I was gonna cry. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Ubisoft
Yeah,
and
Ubisoft,
how
yeah.
Ubisoft.
yeah, this is why you're gonna see more games being made for console. This is exactly why, because money, profit. I mean,
Well,
they
this
just
isn't really about console, is it? This is more about digital sales and the sale of like microtransactions and that kind of stuff.
yeah, but I mean, like people are just buying this shit up in droves, man. And it's like, hey,
It's on all
Ubisoft, can you
platforms, though.
Ubisoft, can you just deliver us more crap? And people are like, yeah, we're loving it, Ubisoft. And Ubisoft's like, yeah, okay, we'll keep delivering your crap. Profits are up.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're doing these online games. They've basically taken what they were doing with kind of their single-player open-world titles, and they just opened it up to being a big online game. And surprise, surprise, more people play it, and they make a ton of money. It's like just like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Just make
So
all that money, and Ubisoft, throwing in microtransactions and stuff like that. So yeah, they're making a shit ton of money. And Division, it was a pretty good game. I played it, and it ended up being pretty good. It had some problems like after launch, like where they had patched it and made like the Dark Zone like almost unplayable at one point, and that's when I kind of lost interest. But for what I played, me and my friends had a good time playing it.
I
That's
think
awesome.
I gave the code away for that game when I got the G. I bought a 970. I think I gave that code away. I'm gonna get ripped again, but I never played that game. I saw any title that's released with a particular graphics card, kind of weird. Like I use Tomb Raider for the DirectX 12, but a lot of games that are bundled with graphics cards, I tend not to want to because I usually just benchmark. I honestly don't play many games, but when I benchmark, I tend not to want to use those kinds of games.
Yes.
It's hard to avoid that now. Everything's being bundled, but
I have to give credit where credit is due to the chat. To Massacre, who said Ricky Lake processors. That is definitely by far the best lake lake for.
yes,
that is the
Lake,
that's the best one to come
some-
up. That is better than any of the lakes I came up
Yeah.
with. Ricky Lake is that's a good one.
Yeah, they need to get some
good job.
Dota 2 references in there too as well. Slark Lake.
There you go. I like Ricky Lake though. That was pretty win. GG.
Yeah, like Slardar Lake.
All right, so you want to talk about this guy's arms? He's got pretty nice arms.
Which?
I don't know. We're talking about arms, right? With Softbank.
Oh, okay, yeah, Softbank. All right, so where's the
Look at his
SoftBank
arms.
up?
Look how long his arms are. So much
he
longer
pull
than
this?
his torso. That's really the big news of this topic. Is
Okay,
how much longer his arms are than his torso.
Huge announcement. Yeah, I don't know why you left this last, but it's actually really big news. Okay, so we got SoftBank. Okay. Oh yeah, his arms are really. You're right. Yeah.
he's like, yeah, you're right. That is way bigger, dudes. Look how long his arms are.
whoa. I see what you're looking at now. I thought you were talking about the picture up top. I'm like, how are you?
Okay. So yeah,
I
ARM
was
is another
joking
bit.
because
So
it's about ARM arm. So I am Joker.
$2
Like, come on.
billion, which is huge, man. I didn't even know SoftBank had this much in the drawer. You know, that is huge. I mean, SoftBank essentially is their mobile company in Japan, and I honestly, for what I knew, Docomo and AU. I mean, I know Docomo was apparently the biggest here. I didn't know SoftBank were that big here, but I know with the iPhone thing, they gained a lot of traction back in like 2008, and ever since then they were the guys to go to for an iPhone. And so I know they gained a lot of traction, but I didn't know they had that much in the coffers, you know, to buy out ARM, which is an unusual acquisition for just a mobile company. You know, I'm guessing they've got their own smartphones in mind. I guess they want to streamline that to the world. It's a little bit weird why they would pay so much for ARM as well. That's a huge acquisition. What they're planning.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
I'm still reading this article.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I did actually haven't really fully read it yet. It says like it's saying the Docomo only started selling the iPhone in 2014. Very true.
I don't think any of us have read this article.
Oh, but I know, like I've followed the
Brian
mobile
sent it to
market
me.
in Japan.
You
I've followed the
said it,
mobile
so I
market
assumed
in
you read it.
Japan. Yeah, but
I
I've
just-
followed the mobile market in Japan, so I know what they're talking about and I know how it works here. But you know, that's kind of like ARM's saying is that SoftBank is a relatively neutral buyer. It's kind of weird that, you know, the likes of Apple and stuff wouldn't want to take over their business. Why SoftBank would? That's what I kind of find interesting. I guess I'm not really seeing the full synergy here, you know, because usually when you acquire companies as a business, you want to take advantage of synergy, and it's going to be worth more than the purchase price. But yeah, like they're saying, and son's instincts don't always pay off. So his instincts to take over ARM, but he may have paid too much for it. Who knows? Maybe ARM's reached his peak.
Sorry, I've just been looking at his arms the whole time, thinking about that.
Okay, all right.
And also thinking about Huawei. I was thinking
Apparently,
about
he's
Huawei
very
too.
flamboyant from what this article describes him as.
That's okay.
He's very successful, extremely successful.
Oh,
but
I'm sure.
I like flamboyancy.
okay, but yeah, I mean, what remains to be
Like
seen is there's a
buoyancy.
lot of other companies coming to the table. I mean, isn't China having their own rip-offs now of like architectures and whatnot? So you got to be careful.
And they're good
billion.
rip-offs, too. Some of them are pretty good.
32 billion is a lot of freaking money. Holy crap, hey. So
And we only have a few minutes here for Q&A, guys, so if you got
Yeah.
any questions,
okay,
fire
yeah,
them into
exactly,
chat
yeah,
now.
yeah, true.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Oh, and also I'm going to bring up the clean AF builds too while we get some questions in. I brought them up like while the show was going on. I didn't even send them to you guys. I'll put them in now though, so you guys can see what we're talking about. I'll put it in the chat there. There you go. It's the clean AF builds for this week. This is pretty much all of them for this past week. What we got, we already saw the one from Brosif. We got one here from Bob Cobble. Bob Cobble, I saw him in chat, looking very good in that Corsair case. Very clean AF, black cables. I wish you got the black cable for the 24 pin too, and the 8 pin. But you know, get some nice sleeved extensions. You'll be probably perfect. Oh, what's that yellow fan? That seems out of place. Get green fan. Green fan be GG. But yeah, it's looking clean. Very
Is it clean?
Nvidia-esque.
Clean AF. Yeah.
It's pretty clean AF. It's pretty clean AF. There could be some adjustments made there, but it's looking good. He's got a 1080. He's rocking a 1080 in work. Well, I'm sure when he's gaming, he ain't complaining.
I'm looking at the one with dust all up in it. That's clean AF.
It's not. That's not clean AF if it's dusty.
At least
We got one here
beautiful.
from Tyler. His setup's looking pretty clean. He's got Darth Maul over there. Got some audio
Where's my
Technica
Where's my
headphones,
Jar
mod
Jar
mic.
mug? I've got to remember the Jar.
Oh, he's got a Darth Vader bobblehead also, and he's got an Antlion mod mic up there on his case, and the Audio Technica headphones. I definitely approve of that combo. Good job on not going with a.
We got a heap of questions.
headset.
You guys, I'll try and answer some questions. We got a heap of questions coming in, so we might want to start hitting them up.
Go on, hit up the questions. I'll show
Okay,
some
yeah.
of these.
Just show the pictures. Yeah.
I'll show
So
the pictures.
okay. I think Greg got a question.
Where am I looking?
Look,
Am I supposed to see these?
If
Yeah,
you
you
have-
go to
if
the
you had
comments
If you
section,
have
yeah.
chat up.
Chat. Oh yeah, all I see is the one you sent, the Twitter link.
Yeah, I mean, the guys in the ARM. Yeah, ARM is a huge comp. Like they own pretty much all the mobile market at the moment.
Your
right?
iPhones especially.
They're
yeah.
huge, right, with their architecture and whatnot. But I mean, like I said, I don't really see why how SoftBank's going to benefit from paying $32 billion for ARM. Like, maybe they peaked out. That's all I'm concerned about. Maybe they peaked out with that deal. Okay, Greg, would you ever recommend an FX CPU if their performance gets a boost in Vulkan TX12?
There was one video where and I got some flack for it. I compared the 8300 to the i3 6100, and the 8300 was the better chip. But when you look at things like single core performance, things change, and not enough games, I think, are out, in my opinion, that take advantage fully of more than 2 cores or 4 cores to justify the 8300.
Did you play single player or multiplayer
In what? What do you mean?
when you tested those two CPUs against each other?
Oh, I think GTA 5 was the in-game benchmark. I think I used Black Ops 3, which don't use Black Ops 3 for anything anymore. I'm done with that. I don't know if I had City Skylines by then. Some of them were in-game, but they were all single-player. I never played online.
You have to play multiplayer. That's when you'll start seeing your poor little FX start dropping down a bit.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
go on. Go on.
So I was doing it a favor.
Load up Battlefield 4 and some Battlefront 64 player and or 40 player on Battlefront, and then you'll see what's happening.
Yeah, how well do you think the AIB RX 480s will perform? I think they'll perform really well, actually. I've got a good feeling about them because with the reference card, I mean, I personally saw the potential there. It's just there's a reference cooler and
and
6-pin. So.
And just from seeing today with like taking into account things like thermals and overclocking potential, it feels like the reference model of the 1060 is not being limited at all by being a reference design, whereas the 480, I felt that it was being limited by the reference design, by not having better cooling and all that. Well, mostly just the cooling, because the thing would hit 90C, and you wouldn't be able to overclock it much. So.
And we did have a lot of complaints too. Not just our channels in particular, but a couple of channels, Jay's 2 Cents, a couple others, when they basically overclocking as much as they could the reference design RX 480. But then they'd compare it to something like a super clock 970. Those kinds of scenarios will be they're temporary, because when these aftermarket coolers, the AIBs, do come out,
well, it's only going to look better for the AIB
close.
cards. You know what I mean? It's only going to look better for the AIB cards.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to hold off on the benchmarks until the AIBs are released, unless you have something like the 1060, in which case they're all released pretty much at the same time. But it's better to benchmark cards that, if you're going to overclock both, that can be overclocked to their greatest extent with the best coolers. But
at the same time, I mean, like that's what I said in my review. Just wait for these cards to come out. Don't buy a reference card. That was my recommendation, because that was just that's how I
wouldn't recommend a reference card really for anybody who's looking to overclock at all. I wouldn't recommend any reference cooler I can think of. There's not great overclockers.
Nvidia ones are fine.
They're fine, but they get up to 90C. I've had
if you get up 90C, it's gonna crash. Those things aren't supposed to go much over 85.
Or 80. Oh, I'm sorry, 80C. I think it was 80C. I put the temperatures up on one of my videos.
Well,
they get hot. That's hotter than the aftermarket 1070, and they're supposed to be efficient. Low TDP.
It really depends on what your configuration though. And it's not going to be the same in every case. And I mean cases and actual cases, not.
But clock for clock though, if you're gonna try to push a Founders Edition 1070 or 1080,
Well, I could tell you.
I mean, I kind of agree with Greg. I think even
Okay,
your
well, I can
Founders,
tell
even
you-
your almighty Founders Edition card isn't.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying if I were to take, okay, I know for a fact that if I were to take two reference 1080s and put them in SLI against two, let's say MSI aftermarket 1080s, that the reference ones would run cooler in SLI, especially in a closed-up case like a Define R5 or the N2 Valve I'm
Yeah,
using.
but how many people are going SLR? What
And
I'm
that's
saying
by
is
the
if I
design,
had-
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. In certain situations, they have their benefits. I'm not saying every situation, but you were saying that you would never recommend it, and I'm saying that there are some cases where you should recommend
yeah,
it.
very niche cases. I
A
guess
lot of cases.
Talking about
instances-
generalization. I mean, like, I wouldn't recommend reference card. I don't think I
just
have
in
because I'm a
general.
single GPU guy. I'm a single
Well, I think it's
GPU guy.
important. I think it's important to cover it from both angles, and you shouldn't. I wouldn't. I would never make a blanket statement as saying you should never use a reference card. I would say that it's useful in
overclock.
some. It's useful in some. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily true. 'Cause
I would say
I don't
in
s-
general.
I
They're
don't
just
see
not
the-
great overclockers. They've never been great overclockers.
Yeah, that's.
What are you
I agree
talking
with
about?
Greg,
My
man.
reference for my reference 1080, and as well as in Jay's 2 cents video when he reviewed the MSI 1080, his reference 1080 overclocked better than the MSI 1080. It comes down to the silicon
but,
lottery. These cards
at
are
the
not
same
being
time,
limited.
If you like, did you play games for like? Did you play
Yeah.
Crysis 3 for 3 hours?
Yeah,
Dude,
3
I've
hours.
been,
Yeah.
I've been,
Give it
I've
some
been
time.
playing,
You can regret it.
playing,
Yeah.
I've been playing on my overclocked 1080 since I got the thing. It's never not been overclocked for
I
one
guarantee
second.
you that reference 1080 will start having a bit of problems. As
I've been
Yeah.
using
Thermal
reference cards
throttling.
for years, and it does not throttle. I
I've,
tested
I've
it.
found with a reference card,
Dude,
there's an
I
aftermarket
ran
card.
Gears of War benchmark on a loop for hours, and it did not throttle
What's
down.
the threshold? Thermal threshold? 85 C.
83 degrees Celsius, but you
For
could raise that
thermal
if you want. I have mine raised to 85, but
85.
it doesn't even go over 80.
All right, we'll
Mine
topic
did.
for another
Mine went
day.
over
But
80. My
yeah,
1070
topic for
did.
another day. I'm not a fan of reference cards. That's all I'm
No.
going to say. Will a 63 i3-6100 and a 1060 be a good pair? Not too sure. I haven't tried both of them in combination. I would guess for the majority of games, yes, but some games you may come into a problem with that CPU.
i5s are big. Yeah, you'll see some huge gains moving up from an i3 to an i5. GTA 5 is a big example. That was one like that shocked me. I had never owned an i5 prior to, and this was back when I was starting to just come up and making videos about this stuff. Moving from an i3 to an i5, in some games, you're right, not all, but in some games, you will see huge gains in performance. Gains not to be confused with games. And so I would say, if you're considering an i3-6100, if you're going to buy a 1060, I would try to make room for a 6400. Even something a lower clocked i5 will perform better in almost every scenario than high clocked overclocked i3 if you're still doing the base clock overclocking thing.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer at this point. Now that I've seen the light
Yeah,
and how
go
well
with
an
an
i5
i5.
is, go with an i5.
Oh yeah,
That's
if you get the 6600K, I love that thing, man. That
it's
thing's
beautiful.
great. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
And that-
Someone saw you, Joker, playing BF1 with your 1080 and the clocks were low. Oh, snap!
That's because I didn't. Oh, in the benchmarking video, That's because I was testing multiple cards and I tested them at stock. That
That's
was
still
I
illegal. Talk about
said that. In that benchmarking video, I benchmarked
still
all
good.
3 of those cards at stock. That's why.
That was worth it anyway.
Yeah,
Someone
well,
saw you.
it's coming up on time for you to go to work anyway, Brian. So we got
I
to go
know.
ahead and
Just
get out of here.
Get out of here, Brian.
No, we got to get out of here. We are pushing up on time
Oh,
here.
there's questions. There's good questions.
It's like,
My work doesn't care. I'm allowed a 15.
I
minute break.
I care because I need to go.
Okay.
I got to go take a shit. So.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. That's all right. We're getting out of
That's
here.
how you end it.
That put me off. Yeah.
that's
There you go. Well, I was trying to just say, hey, we got to get out of here, guys, but you wanted to keep prying on that, so I'm gonna have to go pry one out now.
What if? Yeah. Well, someone said in this chat, what about a 1060 Jar Jar edition? Make it happen. In
Brian, it's poop nap time, okay?
Okay. All right.
I'm feeling very triggered by your guys' disdain towards reference coolers.
double team, man.
You're triggering me, and when I
Yeah, we
get
doubled
triggered,
up on you,
when
bro.
I get triggered, I have to poop.
Yeah.
Everyone is officially banned from this stream.
He's
All right,
pissed.
stop.
He's
You're
so
all-
pissed.
you're all-
Mr.
you're all
Frank.
banned.
Mr. Stock
Good game.
Clocks.
You're all banned. Everyone in chat is banned.
All right, Mr. Stock Clocks. I'll catch you.
This is the last TGW ever. All right. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you, Greg, for joining us.
Thanks for
There will
having
be sure to go check out the link in the description to Greg's channel, Science
Yeah.
Studio. Hit the
Yeah,
sub
thanks for
button, all
coming
that
on, Greg.
stuff.
Appreciate it.
awesome to meet
Thanks
you
for
too.
being so cool.
Yeah.
First time going live, so I appreciate the nice laid back atmosphere.
That's good, man. Yeah, we'll have you on the
awesome.
show in the future too, man. It's all
Please
good.
do. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Ta-da.